Hi team, I hope you're all well. Welcome to day 2 of Steph Loves 12 Days of Vlog/Vlogmas. I am semi-wishing I'd sort of just done this Vlogmas, but nevertheless I want to keep my blog in with it as well, so I have got a few posts going up on my vlog, but I think I've done more, a few posts going up on my blog, but I think I've done more on my vlog. So today I am going to go through my favourite audiobooks of 2018. This is the first time I've ever listened to an audiobook this year. So, no, this year is the first time I've ever listened to an audiobook. So this is really, really new for me. I've been really enjoying it. Some of them I wasn't that fussed about, but others I've absolutely loved, and it has probably made the book one of my top 10 where maybe it wouldn't have had I read the book rather than listen to it. So I have a job in which my office is very, very quiet, and I have a lot of time to just sit and listen to the radio or whatever. So instead of listening to the radio, I listen to audiobooks, which is how I get through so many audiobooks. So this is a fairly extensive list. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first lot is actually like all of these books, but the Harry Potter series in general. I listened to these 3 on Audible because I'd already read the first 3. Why did I think there was more than that? Okay. Yeah, so I listened to these 3 on Audible. I was feeling pretty intimidated by reading this book because it's fucking huge, really. So I listened to these on Audible, and listening to these on Audible is amazing because Stephen Fry is fantastic. He will do accents for people, like he really sounds like Hagrid, and it's just really funny. He'll have you laughing your head off, and it's just a really, really easy listen. Like, even if you've read these 100 times, I would recommend listening to them because I just think they're really funny. So yes, I highly recommend listening to the Harry Potter series. Stephen Fry does such a great job with those. And then the next one that I recommend is Northern Lights by Philip Pullman. I was reading this as part of a readathon, and I noticed that it was on Audible. Philip Pullman actually narrates it himself with a bit of a cast as well. So it was really enjoyable because I always enjoy when an author sort of narrates their own book, if you like, because you get a sense of exactly what they were feeling in that minute and things like that. So I just really enjoyed listening to this. I am going to carry on with the series. I really enjoyed the book. So I have got the other 2 books that I've stolen from my dad, but I may listen to those as well. I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. It was really, really good. Then, I also listened to, this might be one of the first ones I listened to on Audible actually. Oh no, Harry Potter was one of the first ones. This is one of my first ones though. But I listened to Ant Middleton, First Man In, Leading from the Front. So this again is narrated by Ant himself. I am a huge SAS Who Dares Wins fan and all the rest of it. I really love Ant Middleton as a person. I just think he's really humble and a genuinely nice person. I have been to see him at the Apollo in Manchester do, I don't know what you want to call it. I don't want to say it was in concert, but he's just sort of on stage and talking about his journey and a bit about his book and about the other shows that he's done, like Mutiny and other bits like that. And he's just a really nice, genuine guy, but I love his voice, so it was really nice to listen to his book. I highly recommend listening to it as well. The other thing I was concerned about was, with it being very SAS, army, military based, I was concerned that, well, SBS, because that's what he was in. I was concerned that I wouldn't understand some of the terms and I would just sort of lose interest a little bit, because I can do that a little bit in army books if I'm not careful, like army-based, military-based books. So I think it's a really good idea to listen to it if you are into the military side of things, if you like Ant as a person, if you know who he is or whatever. I highly recommend this book. It was really, really good. And again, you get a sense of exactly what he was feeling in that moment, if it was a funny moment or a sarcastic moment or an upsetting moment or whatever. You get a real sense of it because he's narrating it himself. He knows exactly what he's written and how exactly he was feeling in that moment. So yeah, I highly recommend this one. I also just this month listened to Sarah Morgan, The Christmas Sisters. This was a really good one. This was narrated by one person whose name I cannot remember, but she's there are 3 young sisters. There is the mother, the father, and 3 guys then for each of the sisters. So there is a lot of people that she's narrating. She's done such a good job of doing it as well, especially seeing as I think she's English. The girls are all Scottish, the mother is American, and some of the guys are American also. Like, I think, oh no, all 3 of the guys are American. So she's doing like a range of accents, and then in the narration bits, the in-between bits, she just does a normal accent, so you know when you're in a character and when you're not. And also as well, this book is split in such a way that each chapter is a different person. So sometimes you could get confused if they went from one chapter of being one of the sisters to another sister, because their accents are similar, but they're all Scottish. But she would change like the pitch of her voice and things like that. It was just a really nice read, really, really easy listen, and highly recommend it to get you into the Christmas spirit and all of that lot. So yeah, it was a really nice book. I haven't listened to a book like this, well, I haven't read a book like this all year, to be honest. I read I Heart New York at the beginning of the year as a reread, but I haven't read like a mushy romance contemporary novel at all this year, so this would be the first one. So yeah, really, really enjoyed it. I love Sarah Morgan's writing. I think she's brilliant, so highly recommend. This one I have just again finished this month. I decided to listen to this because I was doing it as part of the Fairy Loot read along this month, and this is Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. This I highly recommend listening to. I thought it was really, really good. The narrator was fantastic. Really good at switching accents up and just giving each character an actual personality. It was really nice. This is quite a thick book, so this is the reason why I decided to listen to it, plus the fact that I can't fully commit to each evening like reading 80 pages or whatever, so I managed to listen to this in 3 days. But it was a really nice, easy listen. So this story is about a young girl who you start off at the beginning of the book with Spencer and her dad. She's like a young kid, and they're sort of like, I can't fully remember what they're doing at the beginning, but she looks up and she can see the stars, and they're going through drills, I think. Her dad's a pilot, so she wants to be a pilot when she grows up. Anyway, fast forward like a few years, and Spencer is 17, her dad has died in combat basically, and she is training to be, well, she's going to pilot school. So however, her dad has been branded a traitor, and it sort of reflects bad on her. She has been sort of told that she will not pass pilot school because of it and all this lot. And as it turns out, there is something else going on in the background that happened. I don't want to give you too many spoilers, so I'm just sort of going to leave that part of the story there. But she comes across a ship that is an AI and is called Mbot, and this ship obviously speaks. It's an AI. It's artificial intelligence. But in the audiobook, I don't know how it comes across in the book, whether it's as funny or not, but in the audiobook, the narrator has given Mbot a Scottish accent, and it's just, honestly, the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. Some of the things the Mbot comes out with are hilarious. I just I couldn't stop laughing at. Well, I had to stop myself laughing because I was listening to it at work, but I just thought it was really, really funny. I really enjoyed the book itself. I don't know if it's a part of a series, I'm not sure, but I just really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was so good, and I highly recommend listening to it on Audible. It was really, really enjoyable. Next is This Is Going to Hurt by Adam Kay. I picked this up on a whim. It literally says on the front, laugh out loud, funny and heartbreakingly sad, by like a review from Jonathan Ross. And this is about Adam was a junior doctor, and this is the secret diaries of him as a junior doctor going through his medical well, I think he passed his medical degree, and then he was going through being a junior doctor to getting to the higher level of doctor or whatever. Eventually he decided to change career path for one reason or another, but this is hilarious all the way through, and then like towards the end, in fact even some bits in the middle will literally break your heart, and I was crying at the end. It was quite sad, but it is such a really well written story that Adam actually narrates this himself, which again is another like reason 195 to listen to this book. But Adam is actually a comedian now, and well, he's always been a comedian, I assume, but he's gone into comedy a lot more, and again, you just get the sense that, you know, when he's being serious and it's like it really, really hurt him, this situation hurt him badly, or when he's just being a complete and utter idiot and just joking around and all the rest of it. It's just hilarious. Such a good book to listen to. Adam's fantastic at narrating it. It's not even a big book. I think I decided to listen to it for the simple fact that Adam narrated it. So I highly recommend listening to this on Audible. It's just a brilliant book. Even if you don't listen to it on Audible, read it. It's just fantastic. But I do recommend you listen to it on Audible. Second to last book is The Martian by Andy Weir. I listened to this as part of Lalathon, so Kayla over at Books and Lala, this was one of her favourite books, so I listened to it for that reason, and I'm so glad I listened to it because the narrator was brilliant. This book is hilarious, and I love the film. I saw the film when it first came out. I've seen it several times since. I never get bored of it. Obviously Matt Damon is in the film because he's on the cover of the book that I have, but it's just hilarious, really, really funny. The narrator's fantastic, does such a good job with the story, and I just can't recommend it enough. It's just brilliant. Sci-fi film. So this guy gets stuck on Mars. The mission that they were on sort of goes wrong due to a storm, and his crew managed to get away in the ship, but end up thinking that he's actually died. He got hit by a piece of metal or something, and they actually think he's died. So they've not like purposely left him. They actually think he's died, and they leave basically. So they're on their way back to Earth, and then he sort of comes round and realizes what has happened, manages to get himself back in to the station that they were sort of staying in on Mars, and sort of has a bit of a panic, and then rectifies himself and ends up managing to communicate with Earth, with NASA on Earth. So the story just sort of goes from there, and it's just brilliant. It's really funny, very smart. You do get yourself to a point where you start thinking, is this a true story? Because the amount of research that Andy must have done to make this seem so realistic is just crazy. He's really gone into detail. He's done such a brilliant job with it, and I just highly recommend it. I am going to go back to it at some point, maybe next year, and read it in book format rather than listening to it. I want to see if I get the same reaction. I do quite like doing that sometimes, so I want to see if I get the same reaction out of it that I did by listening to it, but I highly recommend it. The last book I don't actually have in book format yet. I am going to buy it because again I do want to read it in book format rather than listening to it, but it's Sadie by Courtney Summers. There was massive hype about this book when it came out, and the hype completely lives up to expectation. I do highly recommend, out of all of these books, if I was to recommend one of them that you definitely absolutely should listen to, it's this one. This book is done in such a way that each chapter is either Sadie or a podcast. Does it talk to other people? Does it go into other people for a different chapter? It may or may not switch into a different character for another chapter, but there is a full set of people narrating this book. So there is a character for Sadie, there is a character for the guy doing the podcast, there's a character for Sadie's grandma, Sadie's mother, other people, Sadie and the guy doing the podcast are coming across throughout the story, and you get the full idea of exactly what is going on, and especially with the podcast as well. I just don't think you would get the same feelings from it as you would if you were reading it by the book. So I am intending to go back and read it via like the actual book, in the hope that I do get the same feels, but I just don't think I will. But I do highly recommend it. It was fantastic. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I'd have given it more if I could give it more out of 5 stars. But it was really, really good. One of my absolute favourites this year. It made it to my top 10, as did The Martian. And I just highly recommend it. Really, really do. So yeah, if you have listened to any Audible books this year that aren't on my list that you think I may enjoy from my list, or from books that you've seen me haul or whatever, I would love to hear about them. Please let me know in the comments below. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a little like and subscribe. I would be very, very thankful. And I hope you have enjoyed, and I shall see you again tomorrow for another vlog. Bye.